Welcome back, Focus Learners. In today's explainer, we're completely flipping the script on Roman food. Forget those pricey sit-down tourist traps with the white tablecloths right by the Pantheon. Honestly, you're usually just paying for the view. We're hitting the cobblestones for the real soul of Roman cuisine, the authentic, wrap-it-in-paper bites that locals actually eat on the go. Today, we're zeroing in on the top 5 Roman street snacks you absolutely have to try. Okay, so get this, you can actually pull off an incredible DIY street food tour of the Eternal City for around like 20 euros total, right? It sounds completely impossible in one of the most visited cities on earth. But if you just follow the locals to these tiny storefronts and historic markets, your budget stretches so far. We're talking artisan level food craftsmanship here, totally skipping those hefty tourist markups. As that passionate reaction from our source footage perfectly captures, Rome's fast, accessible street food scene is just a massive sensory explosion. Seriously, when you bite into these authentic local staples, you aren't just getting cheap fast food. You are literally tasting decades, sometimes centuries, of culinary tradition. The crazy contrast of textures, the super fresh ingredients, plus just the sheer joy of eating it right there on the street, it makes every single bite completely unforgettable. So can you actually eat like a Roman emperor for just 20 bucks? We're going to prove that you absolutely can. We're counting down the top 5 must-try snacks, and we've structured our day perfectly, all the way from a morning pastry to a late-night bite. By following this guide, you'll experience the culinary rhythm of Rome exactly how the locals do, pacing yourself step by step as you explore. All right, let's get into it. Number 1, a sweet start with the maritoso. Now, this isn't your standard heavy donut or just some simple croissant. This is a deeply traditional Roman morning ritual that completely redefines the breakfast pastry. I mean, despite being absolutely stuffed to the brim with cream, the maritoso manages to stay surprisingly light. It's got just this little hint of lemony flavor. It looks overwhelmingly decadent, for sure, but the bread itself has this beautiful, flaky, crispy crust. And the inside? Whether you go for the classic whipped cream or that earthy pistachio cream, it is just perfectly balanced, not overly sugary at all, which is the real secret to why it works so well first thing in the morning. It delivers exactly the right amount of sweetness. It's the ultimate companion for your morning coffee before, say, walking over to the Colosseum. Whether you're washing it down with a quick shot of classic espresso standing right at the bar, or maybe a creamy cappuccino, a maritoso gives you that perfect, light energy boost to start navigating those ancient ruins. Moving on to number 2. The stuffed pizza pocket, better known as the trapezzino. So if you find yourself wandering through the vibrant Trastevere neighborhood around lunchtime, you have got to try this modern classic. As we shift into the savory part of our day, we hit a street food that proves Rome is still coming up with brilliant new ways to eat well. Imagine biting into the perfect amount of crunch on the outside, but the inside is soft and totally loaded with rich, savory fillings, like a stewed beef that practically melts in your mouth. The sheer brilliance of the trapezzino is in its engineering. It basically takes the sturdy, beloved corner of a pizza crust, hollows it out, and turns it into an edible handheld bowl. It holds hearty traditional stews and sauces that would normally require a plate and a fork. It's messy, it's warm, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Continuing our midday feast with number 3, massive Roman paninis. When you need some serious fuel for hours of walking through Vatican City or the Roman Forum, this is exactly where you turn. Originating in Florence but totally perfected on the streets of Rome, these massive schiacciata bread sandwiches are an unbelievable value. For just 7 euros, you're handed a sandwich that is practically the size of your head. And because the local Roman humidity is a bit different than up north, this bread avoids getting overly hard. It strikes this beautiful balance, great structural integrity, but with a really pleasant soft bite. And every single bite is just packed with a massive volume of flavor. Take la favolosa. It layers savory sbriciolona salami with this deeply rich homemade pecorino cream. Then you add in the earthy umami of artichoke cream and a nice kick of spicy eggplant, and wow, you have a masterpiece. Or actually, you could opt for a €9 Umbrian cold porchetta sandwich instead. That one is bursting with savory pork and topped with a tangy green sauce and sun-dried tomatoes that just cut right through the richness. Either way, you're eating like royalty for under €10. It's crazy. Heading into the afternoon, we hit number 4, Roman street pizza. You simply cannot walk the streets of Rome without being lured in by those vibrant window displays of pizza al taglio, pizza by the cut, or these incredible personal pies. Depending on which historic market or neighborhood you pop into, you'll experience some truly unique, masterfully balanced combinations. Like at a spot called Marucha, they're crafting these delicate, creamy masterpieces with mortadella and pistachios. Down in the bustling, historic Testaccio market, where you're eating literally shoulder to shoulder with the locals, you'll find that perfectly crunchy crust topped with spicy salami and acidic marinara. And then there's Piccolo Buco over near the Trevi Fountain, whipping up pies with fluffy, volcanic crusts completely loaded with burrata and sweet yellow tomatoes. Now, the secret to that flawless, fluffy, yet crunchy crust you find at spots like Piccolo Buco, it's a lightning-fast bake in a blistering 800-degree oven. In literally 1 minute, just 60 seconds, the intense heat rapidly expands the dough. It creates those massive, airy bubbles in the crust while perfectly melting the artisanal cheeses on top, all without overcooking the fresh ingredients. It is pretty much a masterclass in culinary science happening right before your eyes.
Finally, we reach number 5. A deep-fried delight, the supli.
As the sun sets and you find yourself needing a hearty evening snack before a late Roman dinner, this is your answer. This is the ultimate Roman comfort food, famous for its epic, gooey cheese pull. You can track these down at dedicated supli spots all over the city for about €3 each, which makes them the ultimate, cheap, savory walking snack. They're fried fresh, handed to you piping hot in a little paper napkin, and let me tell you, the crunch when you bite into that breaded exterior is wildly satisfying. But the real magic? That happens inside, when the melted mozzarella just stretches right out. Now here's a crucial point. While they might look a lot like Sicily's arancini, these smaller Roman versions pack a heavily concentrated, super saucy flavor punch into every single bite. Because the supli is less than half the size of an arancino, the ratio of filling to rice is drastically altered. So you aren't just eating a giant ball of plain rice. You're essentially eating a pocket of rich stewed tomato, meat, and cheese, all just barely held together by a thin matrix of rice and a crispy shell. The carbonara flavor is especially mind-blowing. It condenses the peppery, velvety richness of Rome's most famous pasta dish right into a crispy, deep-fried rice ball. It literally tastes like a bowl of premium pasta got trapped inside a croquette. The amatriciana version offers a brighter, acidic tomato flavor mixed with these great little bits of savory guanciale, while the classic hits you with that nostalgic, slow-cooked ragu flavor. At €3 a pop, you can, and honestly, you absolutely should, try them all just to compare. By leaving those sit-down tourist restaurants behind and really exploring the markets, you quickly discover that the true soul of Rome is accessible, incredibly affordable, and just profoundly delicious. The artisans behind these street food counters are preserving centuries of heritage. They take so much pride in their ingredients, from the exact age of their pecorino cheese down to the perfect hydration of their dough. When you eat from these windows and stalls, you're interacting with the living, breathing heart of the city. We hope this explainer has left you hungry for history and super eager to hit those cobblestones. But hey, before you go book your ticket, we want to know, which of these savory bites is calling your name? Would you start your morning with that cream-stuffed marazzoso, or are you holding out for the mind-blowing carbonara supli? Thanks for hanging out with us for this delicious dive into Roman street food. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next